All right, welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Monday, March 11th, 2023. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Anyways, let's get into it today. So markets here with a little bit of a gap down. And we're finishing down about 20 basis points here. There's about 5 minutes left in the day, so we won't make too much out of it. For right now, one of the things I noticed right off the bat this morning, you're going to see the SPX, again, down 20 basis points. The IWM was leading, though, in the pre-market. It did back off a little bit here, and we did test the 205 handle, but seeing a lot of signs of continued kind of rotation. ARC, again, was up a lot earlier in a down tape. You also saw XPI up a lot earlier in a down tape. It is down now, which that's kind of all that counts, but we saw some of that money flow. DJT, green in a down tape. Apple, Google, and Tesla, which have been laggards in the Mag 7 lately, are all green today. And Meta, which has been a leader, is now a laggard. That was down almost 6% at one point. Microsoft also down today as well. And again, Nvidia down. So some of those leaders here have shown some weakness. Look at Broadcom here. That's a lower low and a lower high on Broadcom for the first time since September 21st. It's not insignificant. AMD outside move down yesterday, big tail candle. So we're seeing some of that leadership start to roll over just a little bit, and maybe some money flow into other sectors. Look at VNQ. Again, it is down today, but it was green for a significant period of time while the rest of the market was not. So again, continuing to see that kind of theme here in this market of possible rotation into other things and profit taking into some of these ridiculously extended. There was somebody I saw over the weekend. I'm going to see, I got to pull it up because it's just too ridiculous. And it's just, these guys can just go on TV and say whatever they want. I got to find this here. Yep. So this guy on here on CNBC, calling for $8,000 Nvidia by 2030. So this comment here was great. So 20, you got to put into, they can just say whatever they want, right? But you got to put this into perspective. So it's literally, you're saying it's going to be a $25 trillion market cap. That's like half of the S&P by itself. So just insane, just insanity here. So with some of these semis, and they are long overdue for a correction. Are we seeing that now? Potentially. I did float the idea here. We are closing in a couple minutes, and we're going to close right near that trend line. Looks like we're going to close a little bit below it. So technically, you can say that's a break on the SPX. And again, we've talked about this for a while. Momentum is declining here. Price action today isn't indicative of what I would call a breakdown, right? It just kind of like we gapped down because Japan was weak. And I think the market digests that jobs report over the weekend and really did not like it. 124,000 jobs revised down. Now the expectation is that every jobs report is going to get revised down. So that's not a good thing. Additionally, here's the risk going into tomorrow. You look at the price of oil over the month of February, it just went up the entire time. CPI consensus is 3.1, which would be flat to what it was last month. So at worst, if it comes in at consensus, that means inflation ain't going anywhere and the labor market is weakening. It's kind of the worst of both worlds. So that's kind of the risk here that the market's looking at going into tomorrow. We also have China continuing to recover. Take a look at the Shanghai here. Really big up move. That could be inflationary to the U.S. So just a couple of things to consider. Again, it doesn't matter until a support actually breaks. Like I was saying a minute ago, I wouldn't call this like this isn't a breakdown with conviction. Look at the volume, right? This is just a day where the market's just waiting on CPI. We gapped down. There was a little buy the dip, a little liquidity grab here, and we're kind of floating back up. But it's kind of more indecisive than anything. So I wouldn't make too much out of it. We could easily just rip back up tomorrow if the market likes that CPI number. I'm sure participants are hedged. Take a look at the VIX, right? There's definitely some hedges in. We're up 3% today. Those could roll off if the market gets a Goldilocks number or if it gets a cool number, right? So we don't want to make anything out of it just yet. But those are the risks going into tomorrow. And I would be watching 50, 60. This is kind of my big level here. Or if we just sell off with heavy volume, then that's kind of the other indicator there as the market closes here. So 58.18 All right, so just below that line, but really down just 5 points on the SPX. Let's not make too much out of it. But those are the risks. That's what we're looking at going to tomorrow. And that's kind of what I've got laid out. Triple Qs here today down the most. Well, actually, the Russell actually ended up being down the most, even though we did see some money flow. Again, Nvidia remained under pressure. Goodbye the dip here, but lower high there. You know, normally, right, this is a little bit of a character change, right? Normally, for the last 3 months, anytime Nvidia dipped and the dip was bought, it was like, that's it, right back up, you know. And today it was kind of on the softer side, so a little bit of a roll there, down 2%. Again, doesn't mean it's broken, but that's a good reversal there. That's definitely distribution. Just be aware that, again, if the market gets a number it likes tomorrow, they could spike this high again and get everybody to stop out. I saw a lot of people announcing that they're buying puts on Nvidia. They're going short. A lot of the time, the market has a way of stopping those people out before it takes, they want to take the least amount of people down, right, on the ride. So they want to get everybody off. So again, doesn't mean it has to happen. We could get a retrace where it's a lower high. It's certainly possible. But yeah, just be aware of that. But definitely tech on the weaker side. As I have mentioned, we are that this trend line, I mean, this has been violated so many times. We are below it now. And we have closed below yesterday's low as well on the QQQ after a break of that trend line. So that's not a good sign. If we do rally up, this could be resistance now. So watch for that tomorrow and into the next couple of days. IWM here down 78 basis points, still holding the 205 handle, and I still think this is good on the weekly. It did hit my price target of 210, so it may need to do backing and filling right now. Little doji there on the weekly, a lot of resistance up here, but again, this has still been strong lately, and I do see money flow into small caps. Again, if we have a correction, everything will come down, including small caps, but we want to look for those higher lows. If does money continue to rotate while the market is coming down? That is the big key. Diamond here up 11 basis points, but still got those higher, lower highs and lower lows. So just be aware of that, but it did manage to scratch out a gain today. SMH here down 1.78, so following through to the downside. Next level is right around 210, 212. You got the 20 MA there, but next real like support level here, just short-term support, 210, 212. This could still put in a higher low and then retrace as well. So just be aware of that. IGV, and before I forget to, it's a quarterly OPEX week, so expect lots of games this whole week. You know, if we break down, it's better be with volume and it better be with follow through too. And same thing with breaking out. So just want to make sure that's said before we move on. But IGV managed to scratch out a 23-cent gain, so not terrible. We've got lower highs though on this. You're kind of forming a little wedge. Which way does this break? That'll tell us. This pivot here really is big though on a weekly close. Dow Transports, we talked about that earlier. They held up today. Again, I still continue to like this weekly pattern. There's no real problems with this right now, and I think that is, you know, if there's one chart I like on a bigger time frame, it's that one, and as well as VNQ, which is commercial real estate. But DJT holding up, green in a down tape. The interest rates here today did bounce. So the 2-year was up 5.8 basis points, 5-year up 3.7, 10-year up 1.7, and the 30-year up just under 1. Again, still holding this trend line here. I still think that this and the dollar index have priced in essentially a cold CPI, right? And you can make the case that gold, which we'll talk about in a minute, that is priced in a cold CPI as well. So I'm kind of favoring a flip of the script here, kind of thinking yields get a bounce, dollar gets a bounce, gold pulls back. We'll talk about that in a second. But again, interest rates, 30-year bouncing where it should, and we'll just leave it there for now. XHB, that was down again today. Wow, right? So 2 days in a row down. Last time we got to go back to late January that happened. I know I called the SIBO, I called the whole market police, I called everybody, and couldn't get an answer there. But it was down here. We do have a lower low too on the daily for the first time since, you got to go all the way back, I think, to the October lows, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because we didn't take out that low here. That's what's wild. think about that, guys. We haven't made a lower low on XHB since October, since the lows were in until today. So finally, a little bit of damage to this chart. I mean, that's minor damage. You don't have heavy volume here, but maybe starting to get a little exhausted there on the home builders. You think they might be a little overbought. VNQ still holding up. Again, I still like this weekly pattern, as I've mentioned multiple times. Nothing's changed on that front. XLF was up 7 cents today. Was down a little bit more, but it did rally back to the flat line. Looks like, yeah, JP Morgan rallied back up 7 cents as well. KRE was down, but it hung in there. Nothing terrible there. KBE up 3 cents. Nothing terrible there either. We do know that more banks are going to fail, but that does not mean that I don't think we're going to see new lows in KRE. I think we could see a sell-off, but I don't think that with the Fed, given what Powell said last week about new liquidity measures being prepped right now, I don't think that we're going to see a massive sell-off in the banks. So it doesn't mean they can't go down, especially if a couple more of them fail. But again, right now, those ETFs seem to be okay. XBD here down 18 basis points. That's overbought, but it can still go higher. Into the energy market here. So crude up 3 cents. Had a nice dip by this morning and rallied back to a flat market. Again, what continues to impress me about the energy market is not crude. It is XLE, it is XOP, and it is OIH. Even when crude is down and not acting well, these are acting well. That's bullish for crude oil. The China recovery is bullish for crude oil as well. So we'll see if that continues here. I still think it needs another week of consolidation, meaning by the end of this week. Then I think it can inch higher. But I mean, look at XLE. This is undeniable, right? This has been, been making higher lows and breaking out, since January. And we had that nice breakout last week. Next level, I mean, what's this gap fill at 90.31? That's really like your next level on this. And then up to that, it's 90.50. XOP, nice little base here, starting to hammer up. 147, 148, and then 150 are your next big levels there. OIH, closing above the 200 or right on it. 314. Yeah, we just closed above it by a few pennies. So for the first time this year. So, no, take it back. The third, we did close above it. But again, good price action. Next big level is 320. If it doesn't have to stall out at the 200 there, but next big level is 320 and then 330 for that. So again, the producers showing leadership. That's bullish for the commodity. CCJ again reversed hard on Friday and finished lower again. Still looking for about 37.50 on that. URNM still holding up okay. URNJ still holding up okay. That was actually green. So again, continued signs of rotation in that sector. Nat gas down about 3% here. This is in danger of losing that 20-day moving average. If it does that, I mean, there's nothing to say. We'll have a little bit of support around 160, but this could spike that low. So that would not shock me there on nat gas. You'd almost make a case you've got like a little, not a big wave guy, but 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this could be a fifth leg down. So that looks pretty clean. Dollar index we talked about. I still think this is closer to a bounce than it is to a sell at this current time. 103.50 and 104 are your current levels. Gold here. This is why I think that it's going to come down tomorrow. I think there's a high probability that we see our first red day in the last 10 on gold tomorrow. So we have rallied up from 2033 to 2200 in 9 days. On breakout big time, right? So this is indicative of, right, CPI must be coming in cold, right? Because why else would the market rally in anticipation of that? So if that's the case, you could see a pop, but then profit taking, right? Because we have priced that in. If it comes in hot, then it's going to sell, right? So I think that it's kind of risk reward here favors sellers right now. Additionally, take a look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days where we had higher highs and higher closing highs. It's also 8 days of outside move up days in a row. Today was the first day we did not do that. And we also closed with a doji, which means equal buyers to sellers. So we're not selling off yet, but there's not enough buyers to get us to make a higher high. I think gold is going to have its first red day tomorrow. That doesn't mean we're going to crash. That doesn't mean it's going to be a failed breakout. That doesn't mean we're going back down to 1980. Just means that we may need to stall out here. We also have quarterly OPEX, and that is not, gold is not exempt of that. So a lot of buyers in here, they might rein this back in. So just look for that. I could be dead wrong, but if I had to guess, that's where I would put my money. Silver here, up 47 basis points. Again, same kind of deal, slight lower highs. It's a little bit weaker than gold, but same kind of setup going into tomorrow. Platinum, nice pop there, back above the 200 moving average again, into a few pivots there. So that may need to pull back a little bit tomorrow. But again, I like these levels down here for accumulation. And palladium, again, beautiful breakout last week. We'd like to see it hold 1,000. But this could be setting up an inside bar pattern, and if it can stay firm, it goes to 1150. Copper also having a nice day today as well. So good pop on Thursday, pull back Friday, and then right back up today. If this stays firm, it can go to 398 and then 4. So copper acting well here. All right, Bitcoin, what can you say? New all-time highs, right? I have been in the camp that this is not a short. It's not really a sell either. It did pull back in off the highs. We could get local highs at any time. The next level, like psychological level, would be about 75K. And then, believe it or not, through that, it's up to 95. I'm not saying it goes there in a straight line. It could take 6 months to get there, right? We had a big run over here, and we had to consolidate for about 2 or 3 months, right? There's nothing to say that can't happen here. But right now, the trend is up. Is it overbought on the weekly? Yep. Is it overbought on the daily? Yep. But that's kind of what Bitcoin does, right? It gets overbought, and then it gets more overbought, and it doesn't stop until it wants to. You can't force your will on this. So don't fight this trend. It's very strong here, and the alts are still acting well. Ether continuing to bid up. Doge getting a bounce after a little pullback candle here. The inside of this green. Polkadot, Litecoin. Take a look at XRP today. Huge move back up to the highs. Litecoin making new local highs. Solana, Cardano, Matic, all acting well. This is not a trend to fight. I see a lot of people asking, oh, can we short? Don't short it here. I don't know why you'd want to short Bitcoin right now. Unless you get a reversal candle and follow through, then you can look for a lower high, but you're just asking to get blown up here. All right, spiders. Again, tomorrow, we'll see what CPI brings. Short term, bulls want to get above 5130 and then 5150. Bears, you want to break this low of the day here. Actually, really decisive move below 5100 would take us right down to 5080 pretty quickly, 5075. And then you guys know my big line in the sand right now is 5060. 5060 to 5055. We break that on a close with volume, I think this market's cooked. But until that happens, give by the upside bias. I'm not really expecting a breakout or breakdown this week. It is OPEX. It's rare that you get that type of thing to happen. But just be on guard here. Market is definitely showing signs of rotation out of the winners and into some other sectors here. Anyways, guys, going to wrap it up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I will talk to you guys all tomorrow.